Welcome to our webinar today, Keep IT Service In-House and Save 10 to 20%, Everything That Finance Should Know. My name is Mike Zuckerman, and with me here today I have Ilya Epstein, our Senior Director for Global Pre-Sales Engineering, and we're going to share a view of this opportunity for the financial team. Today's agenda will be very concise. We're going to overview the opportunity. We're going to share with you as financial team members the credibility so that you can feel confident moving forward. We're going to talk about the challenges that customers have, a very simple view of the solution, and then share case studies and examples of the financial rewards you should expect. So the first thing to consider here in this compelling opportunity is that it often creates a scenario where finance moves this opportunity forward. So many companies are falling into the trap of trying to outsource core strategic functions. Your IT service desk may represent that capability to your team members. Those folks in IT are key employees, and yet so often we go down the road without thinking it through and assume that that's the only way to get the financial benefits that we need. In fact, outsourcing is an old answer that brings a lot of attendant risks with it. You already know about the benefits, and the big one is reducing operating costs. But today we're going to show you ways to do that and keep your team in-house. The rewards for this are significant. First of all, outsourcing is disruptive. When you try to do this, you have people that you may be firing. You have processes that are changing. It's a lot of work and it doesn't always go smoothly. Two, control can be lost. You're going to lose control to the satisfaction of your users. You know, it's been tough the last couple of years in the economy, and the last message you want to broadcast to your organization is that you're outsourcing another function. And finally, when you outsource, you get locked in. Your third-party vendor wraps their arms around your process and makes it difficult for you to get it back. New technology and new tools change the game for you. We're going to show you a simple way to expand the capacity of IT service or drive the cost down, to improve the satisfaction that your users receive, and to have you keep these strategic resources in-house. A very brief amount about NOAA. NOAA is delivering this technology for many, many customers around the world. Over 20% of the Fortune 50, hundreds of Global 5,000 customers. And for those of you on the line, we probably have, I'd say over 120 attendees today. Most of these companies have huge mission-critical apps. I know you're running SAP and Oracle and Salesforce, and it's mission-critical ERP and CRM, and that's the sweet spot. You've got, I can see one of these companies here, I know you have 4,000 users on your ERP system, and you should be able to save millions of dollars using this technology, keeping your IT service team in-house. These are some of our customers, just a sampling. And if you really take a look, we're almost at 20% of the Fortune 100, a lot of big, prestigious customers that have looked at this technology and understand that NOAA can uniquely enable this capability. So if you're on the finance team, what this says is that a lot of very strong companies have looked at us already and made a decision to go forward. In terms of the challenge, let's share a view so that you can understand what your IT service people have to deal with. All of this is about time and money. We'll show you case studies of customers that are funding things like the Center of Excellence, and you've got to constantly expand the resources and time around that. It's all part of IT support. And so every time one of your users calls IT, this transaction, I'm trying to post something to the account, it doesn't work. And the first thing that happens is that IT service has to interrogate you because they don't understand what the problem is. Then they ask you for screenshots. And statistics tell us that for a severe problem, this could take 5, 6, 7, 8 calls just to resolve this, certainly 4 to 6. Most of you run into problems more than half a dozen times before you even call. This IT service desk handles thousands of calls, supports your thousands of users, and time equals money. The second area that's an opportunity here, if you believe that we're going to show you how to save 7 figures resolving the first opportunity, now we can start to show you data that tells you where problems are happening where people haven't called in. And that, very simply, is the opportunity. This technology shares data which has not been accessible to IT service before. This is something new. It's been around for a few years. 90% of the companies out there do not have this technology. So let's look at the solution quickly and then get a sense of what's involved in making this happen. This technology is nothing more nor less than understanding the user experience at the desktop. Most of what IT has today is very concentric to the data center experience. How is my computer feeling? This technology sits at the desktop and shares a view of what is my user experiencing. And we are capturing data that other technology does not capture. For everything that you run in SAP or Oracle Siebel or Oracle PeopleSoft or perhaps Salesforce, we see, even for the custom transactions, everything they do. So when they call the IT service desk, the notion of interrogation is over. The IT service desk can pick up the phone, know who you are, and know exactly what you experienced. Now, there's a lot of technology soup here, but I think for what we need to know is that we frame this data as analytics that show the IT service people exactly where the problems are. If you call, they know exactly what you did, and on any given instant, they can see what's happening around the enterprise, whether or not the users call. So this is a new technology, a change in the process, and it changes the best practices. And that's really what we have to know. Now, let's look at the economic benefit. These are samples of what we call value engineering studies. A value engineering study, or return on investment benefit analysis, is a normal part of our sales cycle. Because 5 or 10% of the world has implemented this technology, but not 90%, most of you don't have budgets for this. In finance, if you look at your budget for IT, you do not have a budget to buy this technology. But I submit that if we can build a strong business case and show you how to save $1 million a year, as the CFO or the controller or a senior manager in finance, you're going to work night and day to create a budget. And that's what our customers do. And we build it this way, in a very meticulous way with the customer. We build conservative and a likely scenario. We enable you to access perhaps customers that you can talk to towards the end of a sales cycle to get a sense of their rewards. And then this is what gives us the energy to go forward. This is the compelling event that now, as a champion in finance, you can use to drive this through the organization. And how many opportunities do we have to save an organization $1 million or $2 million per year? We have example after example like this. And this is the kind of data we will build with you in finance to your satisfaction. Net present value, internal rate of return. We'll build out data with you in IT so that you'll see the business case is solid. And these charts come right out of these analyses. Chart after chart, customer after customer. There's one you can see euros, right? These are actual examples. And we see this all the time, these benefits for our customers. That's why 17% of the Fortune 100 have implemented a technology that at the time they had not heard of. Successful customers, let's look at a few. This is a great study with British Telecom because they had a huge call center, a huge service problem for people manning outbound customer relationships. Training them and keeping them competent and resolving their ability to interact kept their help desk and many other functions just busy night and day. And they built a business case with us not based upon cutting resources, but based upon mitigating planned expansion, right? Keep the team in-house and keep it where it needs to go. And they are on record for seeing a recurring benefit of £1.5 million per year from using this technology. They have improved the productivity of the IT service and call center teams they have by a little over 25%. So in any short term, it's not about cutting resource, it's about making your resource tremendously more efficient and building into a business plan that lets you keep the strategic resource in-house. And call centers all the time are outsourced capabilities, yet British Telecom saw a strategic advantage in keeping this capability in-house. They also realized one-time upfront change. So this is a very significant return on investment for a very conservative mainstream customer. Johns Manville is another example of an outstanding United States company. They're in the building and insulation business, several billion in revenue. They have a reputation for excellence in all that they do. NOAA has not only reduced costs for them in the IT service area, it's also reduced costs for things like targeted training, because now they know the problems that employees have. It's not that they have to deploy one course that fits all. They know that in the Chicago office we're having these problems because this technology tells you. And so the courses can be better targeted and the savings flow into the training area that goes along with this. The ancillary benefit that Johns Manville saw was user satisfaction, and you'll see the same at Kraft Foods. And so not only are we keeping a strategic resource in-house, but we're able to produce better user satisfaction. And I submit for your executive management team, the latter benefit, if the cost benefit were not there, might be compelling enough to move the project forward. Kraft Foods, another example of a leading company in food and beverages, globally known brand, many tens of billions in revenue, and they've seen across the board productivity gains, reduction in training cost, support tickets and IT service, improvement in resolution times. Think about the metrics. The number of calls, the length of a call, and the time to resolution all are strongly impacted by this technology. And each of those elements of time equals money. Now to Kraft, when they came to us, and we talked about this later on, they were most pleased, in fact, with the improvement in user satisfaction, the fact that their users were happier with the technology, with the large enterprise applications that they were running with NOAA. So that, I submit, is another great reason to move forward. McKesson, a leader in healthcare. Again, similar across the board savings and benefits. This company is a world leader in what they do, and they've adopted this technology because they see the benefits. And they have some of the smartest project people that we have met on a global basis in terms of implementing this technology. And they have found more ways to save economic benefit from their day-to-day expenditure stream using this capability. They're applying it to help desk, they're applying it to training, they're applying it to custom transaction design. They're applying it to application adoption and looking at the enterprise. McKesson is asking the strategic question that you as a CFO hear: am I receiving the full value from my enterprise application? How do I know that I've received that value? That's the kind of question that ultimately this technology will help you answer. Merck, a leader in the pharmaceutical world, with well over 70,000 users, and you can see annual benefits in excess of $2 million, a 5-year NPV in excess of $6 million, and an internal rate of return that any CFO would love. That's why we're on the phone with you today. Rockwell Collins is interesting because they really didn't go after IT service, and we just want you to know that just looking at the training area, you can build a big business case. Right? So there's a lot of things to talk through with us, and we'll share a lot of data with you. Now, Severstal in Russia is one of the largest steel and mining companies in the world. Severstal is a leader in many of the metrics around the steel and mining business, and they use this technology to leverage the most important secondary component of IT service, which is the Center of Excellence. The Center of Excellence is where you go when you have an issue that's identified but too complex perhaps for the IT service desk. It's very application specific. And so that's another cost to your organization, sometimes equal or greater than the first line of triage. And they're able to greatly scale the ability of their Center of Excellence to handle capacity, yet keep their costs low. And so the first layer is IT service, the second layer is Center of Excellence, and they're closely related. So what do we do? How can we work together so that you can now gather these benefits? You know, how do you as a CFO or a controller or head of finance now leverage this to action? So the first thing is, you know, introduce us to your IT team. Everyone on IT, you know, is very much motivated for new technologies that can save money, and anything that will mitigate the outsource of IT service and yet provide stronger benefits, you know, should bring us into alignment very quickly. 2, we need to understand your ERP and CRM environment. So what we'll do is, in meeting with your IT team, we'll talk a little bit about their application set. What are they using? Which release of Siebel or PeopleSoft or SAP or Salesforce? And then we'll look at the return on investment model with you. We'll build it with you in finance based upon these interviews. And we'll see how big a compelling event we have. If we have a compelling event, then we would say to you, we think we can save you $4 million. We'd like you to invest in a proof of concept. You know, the investment's a minute amount of money. It's more important that your resources are in alignment with our resources to test the technology. And we'll move it into quasi-production after that with a contract perhaps in 6 to 8 weeks. The biggest question your IT people will ask you that you should know up front is, what technology integration is required? And that could take us a year to do, right? And we respect that. The answer is none. This technology is a desktop agent. It monitors the front end. It does not plug into the back end. So it does not plug into the back end SAP systems. It does not plug into the Siebel or the PeopleSoft or the Salesforce technology. It measures all of the performance and captures all of the errors on the desktop. So the answer is there's nothing invasive. We can implement quickly, and the proof of concept will give everyone comfort with the technology's ability to perform, and that's it. Part of this is, as you look at these solutions, we talked about IT service today, but you should know that if you're comfortable with us, bringing us in-house, we'll share ideas with you to expand the business case to other areas. I'm going to pass control of the session to Ilya Epstein, our Senior Director of Engineering, Pre-Sales Engineering.
With a NOAA solution, the idea is, because we're monitoring real users all the time continuously, when that ticket comes in or that email comes into the support desk, the support desk does not have to interrogate the end user. They don't have to go back and forth. They could simply find the user in the system, identify the date that the problem has happened, and simply pull up their workflow that shows step by step what the end users are doing. Now, what's unique about the NOAA solution, the workflow that you're about to see, is that it's 100% out of the box. It's 100% dynamic. The time to value with NOAA, like Mike mentioned, is immediate. There's no integration. The second you deploy the NOAA solution, you gain all of this visibility. So now imagine you're somebody in the support desk. Instead of having to go back to the end user and ask him for those screenshots, ask him to reproduce the problem, you have step-by-step history chronologically of everything the end user has done within the target application. This applies to SAP, Salesforce, PeopleSoft, all of the key enterprise applications. So if we take a look here and we see an error message, or we see a critical work-stopping problem that is actually impacting business execution, you have all of the information you need to be able to remediate the problem immediately. So to just give you some metrics, some of our customers, like McKesson, like John Manville, were able to cut that interrogation time by 35 to 50%. So imagine what that is doing to your capacity within IT. You're able to go ahead and execute much more with the resources that you have at hand. Mike mentioned Severstal, great example, where they're doing a tremendous growth in terms of end user population. They're doubling their SAP end users over the next 2 years, and the idea was to be able to support that user growth with the same amount of IT resources and not expanded at all. The second area of how IT services can be expanded is through proactive analysis of issues. Now, proactive analysis is more than just a user satisfaction improvement, which is important, but it also has very concrete quantitative savings. Because if you could identify repetitive issues that are being reported month after month, quarter after quarter, week after week, and you could remediate them. And those remediations could be multiple things. It could be better training, it could be better proactive self-help content, it could be better super user community. But if you could remediate those issues and you could remove them from the support queue, that further drives down the number of tickets or the number of issues that your support organization has to deal with. Now, how do we do that? Because we're monitoring all the users all the time across your enterprise applications, we have these incredible analytics that allow you to understand where the users are struggling and where they're reporting problems to the support desk. So if you're seeing, for example, here we're seeing a lot of authorization issues, right? A lot of IT desks are flooded with authorization requests. Sometimes it's 30 to 40% of the tickets. If I could proactively identify them and break it down by user attributes like the site, department, manager, role, understand where the problems are happening, drill down to user error, to user level analysis, and understand which users are actually struggling, and eliminate these errors from happening again the next month, the next quarter, you're able to reduce and drive down the overall demand on your support organization. What this also does is creates an incredible bridge between the support organization and business. So for the first time, there is a single point of truth that both IT and business can agree on, and they can actually take remediation steps and work on resolutions together instead of each one doing what they usually do. So these are the two main ways how NOAA could help expand IT capacity. There's a lot more, like Mike said, there's a lot of other value drivers in training, in super user optimization, in business process optimization, and we'd love the opportunity to show you more in the future webinars.